Good evening and welcome to Edessa the Dark Crusade. Tonight we have a scene in a place that Madeline has visited once or twice, maybe. A place known as the Roost. A, hmm, a brothel. A place where one can enjoy some of the finer things in life. But Madeline understands the business model. She's just does not in any way feel ashamed or has any trouble really going to such a place. She is she's she moves at a reasonable pace and she's well apparently meeting trouble there.
Yeah, the Roosters, as Madeline knows, is Torvald's domain now. Um, and it's nestled in the heart of the Merchants District. She can notice that it's been done up, um, refurbished, and redesigned since she was last here, and it's actually really nice inside now. It has more of an air of an upmarket brothel than it did before. Time and resources have been put in to the furnishings and the design to make it comfortable and lavish for the customers and the residents alike. There are people that pay money to board here.
Hmm. Well, Madeline
Um,
enters, looks around. She's wearing her hood, and somewhat more conservative clothing. She's dark clothing with a hood. She looks around, smiles at the people who looks at her, and she's probably a few, even with the hood on. And she says you can see Saida. If not, she will simply just ask for a drink of wine, and we'll sit down at the table.
you're brought wine, obviously. You're welcomed inside. Saeed is not there, as the storyteller isn't here to NPC her. But um, one of the main girls, Rose, comes in. She's the barmaid usually. She comes in, brings you wine, and says she'll go and fetch Master Thorwald. Let him know
Madeline will
that you're
just
here.
say, "Hmm, hold on a moment, please. I do not believe I have talked with you before." And Madeline will just have a very quick, like a couple of sentences, but she will speak a little with the Rose. And then
Mhm.
she will let her fetch Donald.
Yeah, she's from what I've heard her described as, she's a attractive girl of about 20, blonde and busty. She's Erdin's favourite.
Hmm.
After she speaks to you politely and um, for a few minutes, and then she'll go upstairs. But as she gets to sort of the balcony bit, Thor's already coming out, so she sort of meets him halfway and tells him that you're here, and he leans over the balcony and beckons you with his finger.
She smiles a little to herself, gets up, and her glass with wine in her hand, she drinks from it, and begins to ascend the stairs.
Thorvald bows lightly when he sees Madeline, sort of keeping up that public pretense, I suppose. And he'll lead her into his room, which is um, not in the main part of the roost, but down a flight of stairs, or in the basement part. Even though it's a basement, it's still very nice.
Hmm.
His room is what's known as the olive room. It's a nice room. I mean, it's basic. There's nothing hardly in it other than the bed and a desk and an area to wash yourself. But I think it looks like it's purposefully basic. You notice that a lot of the other rooms have mirrors and chandeliers and chaise longues and things like that. But Thorwald seems to have kept his room purposefully plain.
Hmm. She looks around, takes in the makeup of the room, feeling homesick from for my home. It seems you have taken my somewhat minimalistic decorations to heart.
Well, when I cannot be in your bed, I do the best I can.
Hmm. Yes, it is a shame. Would you say that you miss it?
He closes the door quietly. It's quite clear that this part of the building is separated so that conversations can go on privately without people blundering by. I've made this place my domain, so I try to make it a little my own. I'm not really one for extravagant furniture.
You did not answer my question. Do you miss my bed?
You know the answer to that, Madeline.
I want you to hear. I want to hear you say it.
He looks at her. I miss your bed.
She smiles, and she approaches a little and just says, "It is quite a different thing. Quite annoying that it is so very empty at this point."
Well, as we discussed before, there's no reason why I can't share it as much as possible, though I do have my duties here.
Yes, Margot.
I do not share Margot's bed. She reserves that for Priscilla.
Truly?
We've had our dalliances in the bathhouse, but I've only been to her haven once. She spends most of her time with Priscilla. And she's not a stupid woman. She knows whom I prefer.
But you have had her.
Hmm?
But you
I didn't
have.
hear that.
But you have had her.
Thor gives a light shrug. Once or twice.
She smiles. Do you realize how many men have wanted such a thing? Have wanted her? And not had the slightest chance of ever coming close? You are a very fortunate one.
I am.
But we both know that you being fortunate, of course, has little to do with her.
Most men would call me daft. or foolish for my heart's desires. For a sensible man would run a chance of being the, what's the right word? The courtesan or the lover of a primogen. Nonetheless, that she is an educated and beautiful woman.
Mm.
But as much as I have admiration and friendship for her, that's as far as it goes. She stirs me not, and she knows it.
You do what you must. I will not blame you for it.
It's not necessary for our alliance to continue, but it was a good bonding start. But I lost interest quickly.
Madeline looks at the bed. I wonder where your interests lie.
Why do you always have the habit of asking questions you know the answer to already?
Because I enjoy teasing you. She smiles very widely as she just goes in and pokes you in the stomach, probably. Just pokes ever so lightly.
He flinches slightly. Mm,
But
still a bit sore.
tell me, Saida is treating you well?
She is a good girl. A beautiful woman. Smart too. I chose well. But I had to hide from her for a few days.
Oh,
I was badly injured, and I know how our ghouls, they fret and panic when we are so.
hmm. Injured?
Yes. My punishment for speaking out against Saladin and the Elysian.
Ah,
He went
I
running
am.
to his primogen who spoke to my sire.
Mm.
It took her longer to beat me, but she did. Until I lost consciousness for a while.
What were your thoughts? What was your actions while this was going on? I wonder.
He reaches into his sleeve and pulls out the black orchid chain and holds it between his fingertips. I lay still, took the beating and prayed upon this.
She smiles quite warmly. perhaps for the first time, seemingly very, very genuine. And she just smiles. You'll make me proud. We may not follow the same path, but my teachings have strengthened you. This pleases me, perhaps more than you can realize.
The beating did not have the impact that it once had. I no longer fear the pain. But I disappointed her, which weighs on me heavily.
Of course it does. The bond.
She doesn't want me to engage too readily anymore with politics. I suggested that she send a note, an ancilla to the city to represent the clan, where I quite often do so on my own, but she was not willing to hear my pleas. Still, I must lay low for a while.
Madeline looks at you, doesn't say anything, just watches you for quite a bit of time.
I was lucky she did not do more. She was merciful.
Merciful.
I embarrassed her.
I see.
Well, I'm not ashamed of what I did. I did it to protect the tablet that Irene was concerned about. Because I believe you about the infernalism.
Hmm.
And I do not trust Saladin. Ancilla or not.
If only there was a way for you not to be bound by a blood bond and the wishes of your sire. You would strengthen all of us so very much if you were not to be under the sway of this woman.
Thought shifts uncomfortably when you talk about it. Yes. But it is not so.
I know that you do not wish this.
I don't wish to be bound to anyone, but I would not see my sire harmed. As far as I know, that is the only way.
It isn't.
He shifts uncomfortably again, probably spending willpower to even be talking about it. What think you of the Court of Stars? I
He
see.
was news place of meeting.
She was determined to have me squirming on the spit about my opinions on love.
There's no shame in it. I wish to learn more of this Hewat, of the Ebony Kingdom.
She's an interesting woman.
I think so too.
I see that you made You were making sure to get rather close.
And I intend to get closer still.
Thorwald smiles, toothily. Perhaps that's a tale you can regale me with one night in bed.
I might.
Chuckles.
If you have your way with women, I must be allowed to do the same, no?
He looks like he's going to protest, but he doesn't. With women, yeah.
Hmm. Let's start.
Any man who touched you wouldn't be a man for long.
Hmm. I appreciate that sense. I appreciate your feelings towards me and what they inspire. But
He sighs, almost realizing that his words came before thought. I know I cannot chain you, and you do as you must and you will.
she just walks over to him and just says, "The love we have for each other. I do not believe that anyone will ever touch me in the way that you have touched me. Know that whatever happens with anyone else will not compare."
I know that. Forgive my words, sometimes a man's baser instincts are quicker than his mind.
It is only natural for you. It is in your nature. I cannot fault you for this. Only hope that you have more and more control of yourself.
He'll take her hand and kiss it. Irene is gathering the neonates too. I believe that Ulrich is visiting the city soon. The talk of the infernalist issue.
Hmm.
I really don't know what I can do, but I'll do what I can.
It depends on the reactions of certain people.
I've heard that others in the city have a great deal more information than we have. I believe the meeting is designed to share all the information we have currently.
Hmm.
At the moment, it feels like we're all just stabbing in the dark.
Less so than you think. There is information, there is certain things that are known, but who they are and what exactly that they plan to execute their grander plan, we do not know. But certain things are proceeding. I very much hope soon I will have a trip with Gerard.
He nods. Similarly to your extension, then know that you can always come here freely.
For my needs, you say?
For your needs, let's say.
I do have one need. Well, more than one, but I can think of one that
I
would be.
petition you not to come during peak times, as you were by far worse the most beautiful woman in the room, and I fear the others would suffer for business.
Why? Or I might attract even more business. And then they find out that they cannot partake with me. They will have to find somewhere else, and, well, there are more people, more women closer to them to help them in their hour of need. Or perhaps you are worrying that some might see it as false appetizing.
Maybe. Maybe I just like to have all the beautiful women to myself. He smirks.
Hmm. Greed is something that you should keep in check as well. He smiles. But you do seem to get quite a bit of that wish fulfilled.
I'm young and I'm hungry, but my heart is a stiller thing.
I know. But speaking of needs, she removes her hood, just looks around the room. She undresses.
The room is really dark, but I'm sure Madeline's used like doesn't care about that. There's
Oh,
no obviously there's no windows in here. Um, there's just some candles basically. It's very dark and shadowy.
yeah. Madeline goes over to the bed and lies, crawls under the blankets, and she'll just say, "There is something that I think we can manage."
Someone looks up to the ceiling as if listening, then smiles. I think we can more than manage it.
And with that, I do believe that the scene will come to a close. Thank you very much, players, for playing, and watchers for watching. Good night.